But Romans 7:14 says that I know that God's standards are spiritual, but I have a corrupt nature, sold as a slave to sin. Sin is one of those words that we've thrown around a lot over the years. It was originally a term in archery. Yeah, you didn't see that one coming, did you? Church, archery. But that's where it came from. The original idea was that it missed the mark. So you were off from the bullseye by a certain amount, and that was the sin. And that's what it still means today, is that God is holy and God is perfect, and our sin is what is not perfect and not holy about us. Paul understood that somehow his flesh, his earthly person, was enslaved to sin. Most of the time, the way you choose not to be a slave is to not get in the chains in the first place. Because you know, once you start it, it's going to be hard to put it down. And I don't know quite why it's like that. Romans chapter 7, he says, I don't realize what I'm doing, and I don't do what I want to do, and instead I do what I hate. And you kind of wonder if maybe Paul got hit on the head one too many times in prison or something. I don't do what I want to do, but I do what I don't want to do, and I didn't mean to do what I did do, and then I didn't do what I was trying to do, and I'm not sure what I really did at all. And it's so confusing, but what he's saying is the exact same thing that goes on in your and my heart every day. I want to live for Jesus, but I kind of want all this other stuff too. We're stuck between the flesh and the soul, in between the world and the church. And it's hard to make those two things work together. It's hard to totally devote ourselves in one direction, even when that's what we want to do. One of the things you find in Romans is all this reference to the law. I thought that the law was there to tell me what I can't do. And I really thought it was almost a test. Do you love the Lord enough to do all these things? I think one of the main reasons God gave us the law was to help us understand that we couldn't achieve it. It forces us to realize that we need Him. And that's what He wants. He wants a relationship with us. And so He gave us this understanding of how to be perfect so we would understand that we aren't. And that the only way that we can achieve that, what we desire, is to know God and to have Him act on our lives. And so that is why Jesus was the fulfillment of the law. Because He was the one that was going to fulfill that relationship. As we realized we weren't perfect, we needed someone to help us cross that chasm to a perfect God. And Jesus was that person. I guess once you realize that Jesus is the fulfillment of the law, then the question is, can we just toss the Old Testament out and just read the New Testament? It makes the Bible a lot shorter, there's a lot less things to understand, and it's a lot easier to carry it around. But that's not true. He didn't replace it. He fulfilled it. Romans 7, a little earlier in verse 7, asks, are Moses' law sinful? But then it says, no, that's unthinkable. You can't even consider that. Because I wouldn't have even recognized sin if the law hadn't shown it to me. If you're a baseball player and you've been struggling, you can't hit for some reason, and somebody steps in, pinch hits for you at the end of a game, hits a home run, wins the game. Are you happy? Yeah, that's great. Does that mean you don't want to be a better baseball player? No, it doesn't.